Welcome back to the Whiskey Cove, everybody. And on today's episode, we find out which 1792 bourbon is the best. Run VT. Okay folks, let's get into this blind battle, shall we? So my wife is going to pour 3 out of these 6 into glasses. She's going to mix them up and then I'm going to taste 3 blind. Then we're going to come back next week and taste the last 3 blind, and then we're going to have a championship round for those 2 whiskies. I do have the high rye, but I feel like that's not really obtainable anymore as it's kind of been discontinued by the series. So we will not be including that into these blinds. So what we have here is we have the sweet wheat, we have the single barrel, we have the bottled in bond, we have the full proof, and then we have the aged 12 years, and then lastly the small batch. If I had to make any predictions to begin with, I think it would be between bottled in bond, 12 years, and actually small batch as to what will win this, but anything can happen in a blind test. Let's get this going. Okay then folks, we have these 3 into glasses and we have them mixed up already. So let's get into glass A. We're going to start from your left to right, so glass A, B and C. So let's get into the first glass, glass A. I just get immediately like a cherry blossom note right on the nose there. Definitely some caramel and a tiny little bit of spice. A little bit of a bubblegum note actually, which is really appealing. I guess that kind of ties in with the cherry. Okay, let's go in for a taste. So then on the palate, not hot at all, very well balanced I feel like. That cherry note continues to come through, like that cherry bubblegum note. You get a little bit of oak spice and kind of like the oak dryness there. Yeah, and then you also get some sweet caramel, just kind of really nicely rounds out the whole experience on glass A. So let's go in for a nose on glass B here, which is the middle. Actually, I have a habit of mixing the glass numbers up. So A, B, C, or we can call them 1, 2, 3, because I've numbered them A, B, C. I don't know which one's which. So let's just call them glass 1, 2, 3, and then when we find out the winners, they'll be A, B, C in that order then. So then on the nose on glass 2, I'm getting more of an intense flavor. Definitely more proof coming through on the nose. Not as sweet as glass 1, that's for sure. Maybe a little bit of a chocolate note actually coming through in this. So glass 2 is just all around more of a drier nose. It couldn't be more different from the first one. I'm getting maybe a little bit of peanut as well. Let's go in for a taste. So with the palate on glass 2, there was more of like an alcohol punch up front, and then that kind of just fell away straight away. And then you're just left with this kind of buttery peanut note, or peanut butter note, I guess. There's no finish to this whatsoever. So there's a little bit of spice up front, which could be more of the proof coming through, but there's definitely something more there, whether that's a rye spice or an oak spice. I can't quite distinguish that. So let's move on to the last glass, glass 3. Let's see how it is on the nose. Okay, there's a little bit more of a barrel char note here, and kind of like almost like an aniseed note, so maybe this is a more of a rye heavy mash bill. Again, I'm getting a little bit more of a cherry note, but it's more of like a cherry polish note as opposed to like a cherry bubblegum note that was in glass 1. I'm getting some cracked black pepper as well there, a little bit of like a stinging spice on the nose. Let's go in on the palate and have a taste. So on the palate on glass 3, I felt like everything was a little bit more ramped up, a lot more mouth coating, a lot more of an alcohol burn throughout the whole thing from start to finish. I feel like this one is a lot more proof heavy, a lot more of those deep barrel char spices, kind of like more of a cinnamon note there, and more of a rye spice that comes through in the taste. I'm definitely also getting some clove, some really like intense clove and a little bit of allspice there. So there's a lot of spice on this one, and that alcohol is really cutting through that as well. So there is a little bit of a sweetness on glass 3, but again, that proof is just coming through and cutting right through it. So that sweetness doesn't stay around for too long as the proof just takes over and kind of just dries the whole experience out. It's not too bad, but it's a little bit abrasive with that heat here. Okay folks, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna pause the camera, taste back through them, and then we're gonna get them in order. Welcome back folks. So we have everything in order at this point. So let's find out some of those results. And coming in at last place is glass 3. I just felt that wasn't as rounded as maybe the first one or the second one. I felt like it was a little bit abrasive in some of the flavors. It wasn't by no means a terrible experience, but it just didn't compete with the other 2. So let's find out what number 3 was. I have the list over here. So then number 3 is glass C, so that is foolproof. That doesn't really come as a surprise, if I'm completely honest. Foolproof is the ABV is 62.5%, and it is a little bit abrasive with some of the flavors. I feel like you don't get enough of those barrel char notes for a foolproof product on this, and kind of like the alcohol just cuts through all those sweeter notes and just kind of leaves you with more of an alcohol forward whiskey. So with that being said, let's find out what number 2 is. So number 2 was my glass 2, which was single barrel. So this is 1792 single barrel, coming in at 49.3% ABV. So with this one, it had some really nice nose-in notes and some really nice taste-in notes as well. So on the front, it had some really sweet caramel on the taste and some really nice vanillas, but there was just no finish there whatsoever. It kind of, like I said, it just kind of fell off a cliff completely, and there was just no kind of finish, and there was just no real complexity to it. That being said, it was better than foolproof, but it wasn't good enough to get the position 1, which was, and let's make sure I have this right, is glass A, and that is 1792 sweet wheat. So 1792 sweet wheat coming in at 45.6% alcohol or ABV. I just felt like this was so much more rounded than the other two. It had some excellent sweet caramel and cherry notes on the nose. So that kind of transferred into the glass itself or onto the palate as well. And there was also a fantastic finish with a little bit of spice there, but the sweet caramel kind of traveled throughout it as well. A lot of people say the sweet wheat is really sweet. I didn't get that too much. I think it was a really well-rounded bourbon. Didn't really get much fruit notes throughout these, apart from the cherry in the first one, and kind of like a little bit more of the cherry like pledge or cherry polish in the last one. But all in all, I think sweet wheat is a good competitor, and I feel like this is going to be hard to beat in the championship round. So that's all we have time for today, folks. If you enjoyed this video, please hit that like button, and don't forget to subscribe as we help to continue to make this channel grow as we drink through the world's whiskeys one glass at a time. Cheers.